Hello, my name is Shane Downer. Welcome to the Digital Enterprise module. I'm going to switch on your... Okay, can you make sure to switch on your microphones and your cameras, please? And can you also then indicate, A, if you can hear me okay? Hello? Hello? Hello, can anybody hear me? Okay, while you're getting used to the site, what you should see in front of you is a slide with digital entrepreneurship as a title in the center. On your screen, there will be a menu bar along the top, and on the side, depending on how you've laid it out, there will be a chat or a text option. If you look at the main menu bar, there is a layout change button. So you can either have in which case your menu bar will be on the left of the screen. And if you click that again, you can change the layout again. There's 4 versions on that. But the most important thing is there's a text box for conversations. If you see that, can you just click on that? So Anthony has clicked in. Zach has just joined. I'm gone again. So the way that this works is you should all see me in a video box on your screen, and hopefully you should be able to hear me. Can you let me know if you can hear me? Okay. So the way that this will work is that I will run through a presentation and some slides, and I will start to ask some questions, and we'll get some interaction going as we go through the digital entrepreneurship module. I just want to make sure that that you can actually hear me. Okay, we just got a few more people who will be joining in a second. I could play some music, but that would be dangerous. As I said, can you also make sure to allow your camera and your speaker? So when you come into the class, you should be asked an option to allow the system to use your camera and your speaker. Your camera and your video, sorry, your camera and your microphone. Because at some point we'll be doing some interaction. Okay. Can I get a yes on that? Okay, let's take a couple of minutes just for us to get this sorted out. And we're allowing some more people joining us. We're going to be talking about digital entrepreneurship. Hi there, Fitz. Hi there, Zach. Hi, Zach. They're not clickable on your screen. Okay, hang on. Just give me a second. We'll try and figure that out. Same issue with you. So you can text, okay, but you can't turn on your camera or your microphone. Okay. Well, look, I'll get our tech guys to have a quick look at that and see if there's something that we're doing. Maybe it's what I'm doing. Second. You can hear me anyway, and you can see me. Is that right? Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Otherwise, we like talking to the mirror. Okay, so let's just hang on. We're just waiting for a few more people to join. And we'll see if I can get that. Okay, so you can definitely hear me. You can see me, but I can't switch you guys on. Hi, Timothy. Welcome. Okay. Just bear with me a minute. Okay, so we're going to have an admin just join us. Hi, Han. Welcome. So as you come in, if you can just send me a text to acknowledge that you're here. I think admin has joined us. So we won't have this problem every session, just the first session. Okay. Hello. That's our admin. Hi, Genty. Welcome. We're just waiting for the last few people to join us. Timothy.
Hello.
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 The way the system will work is we're going to try and make sure you have access to video and microphone. I will have them switched off for you at certain times, but at other times when we have some discussion, I will enable them so that people can actually can talk within the class.
Okay.
Okay. And the other thing, of course, is the text box is the easiest option for everybody as well. If you have a question, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Oops, sorry.
No. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'm just going to switch off your microphones. So please bear with us. We'll have this sorted. Okay.
Can I access on two devices? I want to switch.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll start with the presentation, and just in a short while, I'm going to look for some inputs from you. If we can't do it by voice, we'll do it by text while we get this sorted out. Okay. All right. So welcome to the digital entrepreneurship course that we're running. So this is a 12-week program, 24 classes, and it's aimed at creating a foundation for digital entrepreneurship. Okay, so within this session, we're going to try and run we will be running a class with a number of people in a couple of different locations. That class is very much a tutorial in that there will be some presentation and some slides from me when I'll explain some concepts and ideas, and where we will get into some sort of discussion and exercises. The whole focus of this is that we lay a foundation, that we build an understanding about what entrepreneurship is and how that can work in a digital space. Everything is changing at the moment, and we see lots of development all the time in how we do things. And central to that is the very fact that we're having this as a digital classroom. We're having this as a virtual classroom, this course. So what I'm going to be doing in this course is covering a number of topics involving you, just as if we were all in the same room. There will be some work for you to do. You already had some homework for today, and we'll have more homework then for Friday and for the sessions beyond that. And we'll get into that. But that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn about digital entrepreneurship. And ideally, coming out of this program, you will also have some ideas about how you could potentially start your own businesses. Some of you already may have some ideas. Some of you will generate ideas during the course. But it's very important that, I suppose, we are open to what's possible, as well as respecting other people's confidences and their ideas and so on. One of the fundamental things about all learning is that we really learn by doing, and also we learn from others. So this is not a one-way mechanism. This is not a one-way learning system. This is not just me giving a presentation. This actually is a bit of dynamics in this, whereby we present some ideas, we challenge those ideas, we work on some of those ideas, you learn from each other and you learn from me, and with that then we sort of come up with a better overall quantum of learning, if we want to put it that way. Okay, so our sessions are going to run for an hour and a half each. We will, in the middle of that, take a 1 or 2 minute break at some point, just so that you can stand up and walk around. If you have any questions or any problems at any stage, please metaphorically raise your hand. On your screen, there should be a little icon on the top there, which is a chance for you to ask a question. Now, you can do this in a couple of ways. The easiest way is to use the text box in the class conversations, or to send me a private message, where you can simply type something in and I will see that, and I will answer that, and I'll be able to deal with it, either in the class or in a little text on the side. But there's absolutely no such thing as a bad question. Learning happens when we question what we're about. So questions are what really drive this process. So at any stage, if you have a question, if you have a concern, if you have a problem, please raise your hand, send me a text, send me a message. Let me know what the issue is. Raise a question, because at times I'll be looking to see what questions you ask as a way to try to determine how the learning is going. All right? So very quickly, can you just send me a text to make sure that you understand the text thing on the side? So just send me a text. Yes, tell me yes. Okay. I want to make sure that we all have that. Anne, okay. Anybody else? Can you also hear me? The text icon, so it should be on the top bar. There should be an icon there which you click on. There's a series of icons. There's a little timer. There may be a sort of a layout change button. When you hover your mouse over the icon, it'll tell you what it is. There may be a screen share, which it shouldn't be enabled at this stage, but you may be able to do that in the future as we go through the session. So if you can just send me a text to let me know that you're here and you understand, or not. Okay. Let me. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you a prompt. I'll send you individually prompts so you can. Yes. Okay, so you'll hear that occasionally. Oops. That's feedback there. If somebody got the mic on. That's feedback there. If somebody got the mic on. Okay. Okay.
Using me is okay.
I'm trying to make sure that I can. Oh.
Is it my device or? Ini tuh udah kelogin. Punya. Tadi nggak bisa yang saya belajar marginal terus. Kayaknya udah benar Jer, gua bilangin juga.
Okay, sorry folks, that was feedback. We're still having a few teething problems. Okay. Ideally, I should be able to your mics on here to enable you to talk to the class. Okay. In that way, we can share. If your mic is live and picks up my voice, picks up the class, we will get feedback. Okay, so hi there. And for some reason, I can't seem to override your mics from here. So if you can just switch your mics off, it should be again possible from your menu bar. Okay, that's a bit better, I think. Instead of one or two. For some reason I can't override from here. So Jendi and Jeremy, if you can just switch your mics off.
Switch what?
If you can switch your mic off for the moment, and we'll get this teething issue sorted out for the other classes. Okay. Okay, and Jendi. Okay, all right. I think we're nearly there now. Okay, all right. So look, let's move on. All right. So we've had some interaction. It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to this format. We will get through this. We will get better. We will all be able to communicate better at this, because this, as I said, this is very much an interactive session. Okay, so we need to move forward with the class now. On your screen, what you'll see is this big whiteboard piece, which is where the slide is. Okay, so you've got Digital Entrepreneurship, September 2019, Session 1. What is digital entrepreneurship? Okay, and then there's a few brand names at the top. Now, I'm pretty sure you know most of those. Is there any of those, and please use your text box, is there any of those that you don't recognize? So you're probably well aware of Alibaba. You're probably well aware of Facebook. What are the other ones? So you can use a text. Is there one there that you don't recognize as an online business or an online application? So you can use your text box just to key in if anything. So have any of you heard of ASOS? No? All right. Well, what we have here is we have Alibaba, which is a marketplace, effectively. Jeremy, yes, you have. Which one? You've heard of ASOS? Okay, good. Alibaba is a marketplace, so it's an online marketplace, very much like Amazon. And Amazon is a company we'll talk about during the course, because Amazon's story is very illustrative for how we develop digital businesses. ASOS is a fashion retailer. Is that right? Is that right, Jeremy? Fashion? Or am I wrong? I haven't used ASOS, so I don't know myself. But I think ASOS is a fashion retailer, yeah. Airbnb is for accommodation, so booking accommodation in people's private houses and apartments when you're traveling. So it's like access to accommodation without having to stay in a hotel. Facebook, as a matter of interest, let me do a very quick poll here. You're going to get a pop-up now. If you can answer that question. Let's see who has a Facebook. Anybody else want to answer that? At the moment, we're at 18%. So somebody doesn't. 20%, okay. All right, anybody else want to answer the poll? Okay, I'll leave it there. So it can be answered during the session, but that's quite interesting. I thought it would have been higher, a little bit higher. I have a Facebook page, but I don't use it because from a personal point of view, because there's so much going on. But Facebook is something we're obviously going to talk about because it's very important for business. Okay, so I'll leave that poll there. Facebook obviously is a big one. This icon here, of course, is Instagram. So let me throw another poll up there. And I'll wait. I'll let that one run for a minute. We'll ask about Instagram again later. Uber. I don't know if Uber is in your markets out there. It's not actually very active in Ireland, where I'm based. So I don't know if people are aware of Uber, which is a ride-sharing app. And again, there's Link and there's a few other versions of that. And then there's Stripe. Now, Stripe is quite an interesting one. Is anybody aware of Stripe? Anybody aware of the Stripe application, Stripe business? Because this course is all about digital entrepreneurship. Stripe is a really interesting case study. Stripe was started by two guys from Ireland, two guys who were in their teens, which is the age of some of the participants in this course. They started this business, let's say 8 or 10 years ago in Ireland, and they won a national science competition, and they created this business out of that competition. And Stripe at the moment now is a company that's based in Ireland and in the west coast of America, and it's worth about $10 billion. Okay, and that's in a very short period of time. And what Stripe does really simply is it enables e-commerce. It's a way for people to put a payment mechanism on their websites that enables them to take business. Okay, Zach, yes, you had a question. 1 second, Zach. Let me just see if I can switch on your mic. No, I can't. Zach, can you send me a text for your question? Or were you just acknowledging, you were just saying you were answering a question? So Stripe, as I said, is a very very interesting case. Actually Irish, so I'm based in Ireland, so I find it interesting. But it's now very much certainly America and Europe, and it's getting penetration elsewhere. It creates the possibility for accepting payments for services on websites in a very straightforward, simple way. Secure, simple, and their business model is taking a time transaction. So we'll get into examples like that as we go forward. Okay. But what I wanted to do was obviously to welcome you. Okay. So the first thing I'd like you to do, just to try and show me that you're getting used to the application, is can you send me the name you like to be called by? So whatever your whatever name you want to be called by, just send me a text, a conversation message using the conversation box. Okay, can you do that? Okay, thank you, Han. By the way, if I get my pronunciation wrong, don't hesitate to correct me. Okay, Angel or Angel? Jeremy, Jocelyn. Okay, any others? Okay. Okay. So I have some of your names there. Timothy. Okay, so I have some of your names there. Okay, so I will call on you occasion during the class. I asked you as part of this, the preparation for this, to send me a short exercise. So what I'd like you to do is to introduce yourselves. I'm conscious that we've had a few technical problems starting off, so I'm going to park that and we'll try and get that finished in the next session. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and why I'm giving this course. Okay, so my name is Shane Downer. You can call me Shane. I'm based in Ireland, which is on the edge of the European Union, between Europe and America, really, although much closer to Europe, in the Atlantic Ocean. Most of the learners in this class are in the Asian Pacific region, or Southeast Asia. So I'm coming at this because I'm an educator and an entrepreneur. So I've been involved with a lot of different businesses, some really small, some large, some not-for-profit, some for-profit. So Alchemy is my current trading business name, Alchemy. And one of the things we'll be doing in this course is we'll be looking at how we build up business names and presence. And I'm going to use that as a live example because Alchemy needs a total refresh in terms of its digital business side. So I'm going to use my own stuff as examples throughout this course as we get further into it. Not for everything, but certain elements. We'll look at lots of other businesses as we go forward as well. I've been involved with Diners Club, which is a charge card operation. So I've been delivered training and change projects for Diners Club across Europe. I've been involved with the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, which is a not-for-profit organization. I've run an adoption agency of all things, which again is another not-for-profit. I've worked with Arthritis Ireland on a fundraising side, which is another not-for-profit. So actually, there's a lot of not-for-profits here. And I've also consulted on the development of SUSI, which is a national student loans mechanism in Ireland. So I'm coming to this course with a lot of experience as a teacher and a lecturer in the public sector, in the private sector, in training with corporate businesses, and having worked with a whole number of businesses, including a range of small and startup businesses. So I'm very interested in entrepreneurship, and I'm very interested in the digital space because that's changing everything. So most of you are growing up using digital applications and digital tools, almost like I would have grown up using pen and paper. So a lot of what we're talking about, some of it will be intuitive to you, some of it will be automatic, and some of it will be obviously how we relate that to businesses and getting a business idea up and running. So that was the course pre-work. As I said, I'm going to park that. So some of you sent me in that statement, which is great. Thank you very much, and Angel, Jocelyn, Jeremy, Timothy, and Han. I think you all sent me in them. If I missed the name, please remind me. I want to talk about what is a digital business. So we know what digital businesses are. You may well be aware of Amazon, okay, or Alibaba, which is a similar type of business in Asia. Okay, you may well be aware of Airbnb, okay, and of Uber, right? And they're all huge businesses, and in many ways we might refer to these as a unicorn, okay. Okay, 1 second. There we go. Sorry. Oops. Sorry, I just done something. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we might refer to these big businesses: Amazon, Airbnb, Uber, Facebook, Google even. They're all huge businesses with global impacts and involvement. But actually, we need to think much smaller than that, because none of us, well, maybe one or two of you will do, is going to, generally, we're not going to start up a globe-straddling digital business from scratch, okay? That may be in your future. I hope it is, and if it is, when you get there, please remember me and the rest of the class. Hang on a second, let me just... we got a little bit of interference there. Okay. What we really need to do is, oops, sorry, Jeremy, I've switched off your camera. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, it's your microphone I meant to switch off. Okay. Okay, yeah. All right. So what I do want to do is think about smaller local businesses. So I'm going to talk about Mimosa Flowers in a second. Mimosa Flowers is an Irish business. When you get the PowerPoints, that will be a link, and it will link to the actual website for Mimosa Flowers. Mimosa Flowers is the current name of one of the first Irish businesses that made a significant change. Mimosa Flowers was a flower shop, okay, a florist, where every day they'd get flowers in and they would sell bunches of flowers for weddings, for romantic encounters, for funerals, as funeral wreaths, which is a thing in Ireland. But it was a small local flower shop, one business, one premise. And about 20 years ago, not 20 years ago, but 15 years ago, sorry, I have, let me just turn off a microphone here. About 20 years ago, Sheila's Flowers, as it was then, made a huge decision, which was really different for any organization at that time, for a small business. They decided to close their shop and go purely online. Now, that's a risky endeavor. So this is a normal small corner type shop in Dublin City. It had a clientele, and what they decided was that the internet was changing everything, and they decided that actually they didn't need to have a shop front anymore. They were going to become an online business. So Sheila's Flowers, as it was, shut down its shop. Now, it had a shop in a good location, so it was able to sell the premises and, get out of there and release capital, because there was a lot of money tied up in those premises, and with that, get a much more purpose-built facility further out of town, which was simply an assembly line. And as part of that process, they established a website where people could go and order their flowers and they would deliver direct. So a bit like Interflora and so on, but they had a shop, but they got out of that business and they said, we're just going to become an online business. Now, Sheila's Flowers is now Mimosa Flowers. And so 20 years later, it's actually gone back and it now has stores again, but a huge proportion of its business comes through the online space. And that's why we need to think about digital business. We need to think about what is a business, what is digital, and how do they go together, okay? And to sort of illustrate that, I want to show you a very simple, short video. So let's play this here.
Hi, I'm Wilson, owner of Haichong Bao. I've been in the coffee shop business for 9 years. Everybody wants their order to be fast and easy. So with Get system, regardless of online delivery, takeaway, or self-ordering system, customers can now order their food more easily. At first, my staff, they were very worried and very scared to use the system. After a while, they get the hang of it. They was like saying, "Wow, 老板，原来是那么好用的." Now I can do more with less manpower, and my staff can have more time to interact with my customers and also to build a better, closer relationship. My operating costs are now lower, and I can do a lot more to make my customers happy, like giving them a free membership, rewards that they can use easily in store or online. We already have great food, and with the help of technology right now, we can have great service as well. I am a second-generation coffee shop owner and I would like to give next-gen service to both my tenants and customers. And I think it's time to go digital.
Okay, before I show you the rest of that video, can you identify a couple of things that are quite interesting in that video? There's a couple of things he says that are actually really useful when we think about business. Anybody? He said something about his customer. He said a few things about his customers, but certainly something in particular. Yeah, lower cost, absolutely. That's really important. I'm glad you said that, but I'm going to come back to that in a second. Anybody else? Thanks, Han. Anybody else? So if you raise your hand, I'll switch on your mic and we can talk, or you can send me a text message. He said something about his customers and time. Okay, it's this bit here.
After a while, they get the hang of it. They was like saying, "Wow, 老板，原来是那么好用的." Now I can do more with less manpower, and my staff can have more time to interact with my customers and also to build a better, closer relationship with them.
I think that's at the heart of what we're talking about here. So we're going to talk about what business is and why it exists and so on. But ultimately, remember, this is a gentleman who's a second-generation coffee shop owner, and he's very focused on his customers. Yes, you're absolutely right, Han. There's an opportunity for lower cost, and that's tied in with the fact that he doesn't have to have as many staff, which we can talk about that again. But the reality is it gives more time to interact with the customers, to build that relationship, because what he's really looking to do is to establish a business to build that engagement so that people repeat, so the repeat customers and the repeat customers buy more from the business. And through all of that, that helps the business to grow. But what this isn't is just a website. This is a real business leveraging digital technology. So digital business, digital entrepreneurship is not just a website. It's not just selling something online. It's changing the way that we do business and establishing opportunities to develop new businesses and to create different businesses and to find efficiencies in existing businesses. That's what we're really talking about. So let me go on. So that was a coffee shop, right? So let me just go to the end of that piece. We saw that. Okay, so let me go here.
I'm a second-generation coffee shop owner, and I would like to give next-gen service to both my tenants and customers. And I think it's time to go digital.
So that's a coffee shop. Now,
Hi, I'm Alan. I'm the owner of Hair Salon, and I've been a hairdresser for 14 years. Traditionally in hairdressing, client services was always recorded by writing it down or memorizing it. Now, if the clients ask for any of the details, we can give it to them straight away. So with our current system, all my sales, my inventory, and all my admin work is put together, and since it's cloud-based, I can access it anywhere.
We know
everything about our clients. So when they come in, they know.
Sorry.
Accurate and professional service. In hairdressing, it is important to keep up with fashion and trends. It is also important for the salon to keep up with technology. With the current pace in technology, I think that we should all go digital.
Okay. Again, a traditional business, hairdressing, but he's finding a way to augment or to improve or to enable that business using digital technology. Coffee shop, hairdressing, flower store. Traditional businesses finding a way to succeed and grow digitally. That's at the heart of what we're trying to cover in this course. Okay? So the first question there is, what is a business? Sorry, what is a business? What is digital, and how did businesses go digital? Those are the questions we're going to be dealing with. So what do you think makes a business digital? So anybody want to contribute? And what I can do is here, I can add your comments into the text here. So what would make a business digital? What do you guys think? Okay, goes online. That's one. Okay, anything else? What about Jocelyn? What do you think? Social media. Good. Who else have we got? Jason. Sorry, that was you, Jason. I beg your pardon. Okay. Jocelyn, what do you think? Or Timothy? What makes business digital? Anything else? Promotion. Okay, that's interesting. That's good. So, we can look at sort of online marketing, right? And that's a huge part of this, certainly. Okay, thank you, Jocelyn. Anything else? Anybody else? Timothy? Mobile app, Jason. Okay. You know what I really liked in those two videos? Well, there was two things. And I think the mobile app really gets to it. Is certainly with the hairdressing, he had a tablet and he was capturing the learner's details or going through styles, whatever it was, and picking through, using the tablet in the discussion with the customer, what the customer wanted. Not just coming in, sitting down and cutting their hair. Using technology, capturing their wants, showing them options, and making decisions and capturing that information electronically. In the coffee store, it was, you were able to scroll through on a phone, either to pick or to order stuff for order a coffee or whatever it is for a collection. In reality, something like this is changing the world. It's not that it's a phone, it's a multifunction device, as somebody said. It is actually an access point and an engagement tool. So I think mobile app is really, really useful. Timothy, can be done anywhere? Yes. So can be anywhere. That's massive as well, because what that means is we're talking about doing stuff beyond our neighborhoods, beyond our borders. We're broadening the market. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with. Let me set a quick poll in motion here. Okay, so 71% of you have a Facebook poll of a Facebook page, which is great. That's very interesting. Let me. Oh, it's gone up to 100%. Let me share those results. Okay. Okay. Now let me ask another one. You Paul. What was the question I was going to ask? We were talking about. I've forgotten now because I got distracted. We were talking about digital and borders. Yeah. How many of you have heard about so let me do a very quick poll, right? Okay. How many of you have heard about Brexit? Anybody? 40%? Okay, good. Good. All right. Brexit is something that's very live and dynamic. Dynamic is the wrong word. Very live and controversial in Ireland, in Europe at the moment. Okay. It is okay. Good. Share results. There we go. Okay, Brexit is the process by which the United Kingdom, so Great Britain, is leaving the European Union. Now, why are we talking about that in the digital business space? The sole reason I want to mention this is that Brexit means that the Great Britain, which has links throughout the world, is leaving a single market of 500 million people. So there's about 60 million people living in Britain. There's 500 million people living in the European Union. Ireland is a member state of the European Union. And we have a single market, which means that goods and people and money can travel across borders with no barriers. So if I wanted to sell a product into France or to Spain, there's no problem. I can sell it, I can send it. That's it. There's no tariffs, there's no customs. And we have Brexit happening now, which means that the UK is coming out of that market. So an entire country is coming out of a market of 500 million people, which means that any goods and services they sell into that market will now be more expensive because of tariffs, etc. So from a competition point of view, a business point of view, why would you do that? It's a political problem, so it's nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's that idea that you can do business anywhere, as Timothy says. So what makes a business digital? It creates this opportunity to sell well beyond your immediate geographical space. Okay, so there's a number of things there that answer that question about what makes a business digital. Okay, I love this photograph. So I didn't take it, but I remember seeing something exactly like this. I was in Hanoi a few years ago, and this was what I call the Hanoi barber. Okay, it was a guy, he had a chair and a mirror and a pair of scissors, and he had a business. He hung a mirror on the wall, and he had a chair, and people would pass by. He would cut hair for a fee on the street. This was a classic example of a small, tiny business. And what I think that showed was just the nature of competition that's possible in any market. Now, it wouldn't work as well in Ireland because we don't have the weather to sit out and have our hair cut here. It tends to get a lot colder in winter and a lot wetter. But this idea, this very simple idea. So here we have a gentleman who's got a stand, he's got a chair, he's got a little box shelf he's put together here, he's got a mirror. Again, he can just take those things down with him, and he has a business on the street. He can cut hair for whatever fee, whether it's dollars or dong or whatever whatever fee he's doing, and he has a business. So the question is, what is business? What are we actually talking about? Let's park the digital thing for a minute. What are we really talking about? Can anybody tell me what business is? What business really means? Okay, maybe let me pick somebody from the list. Let me pick a victim. Vijit. Okay, Jason. Yes. Buying and selling. Excellent. Doing a task to make some profit. Very good. Very good. And the hairdressing is just like that. You know what? This guy is selling the ability. He's selling a haircut. Okay. So he's there. He's able to stand. He's able to cut hair. He's got the tools. He's got the setup. Somebody passing by, they have a need for a haircut. They can get it done. as long as the price is right. So it's buying and selling. So, somebody's buying that haircut and somebody is selling that service. And if you're dealing with products or services, what we might be talking about is the fact that somebody is buying something and selling it on for a profit. So it's that sort of engagement. Really simple concept. We actually all do it. We all know it. But, that's what it is at the start. So how do we compare that very simple idea with Google or Facebook or Microsoft or, Cathay Pacific or Boeing or, Apple computers? Okay? It's the same basic idea. I don't care how big you get. That's the simple idea. It's solving a problem, selling a service, selling a product, and making a little bit of bonus or profit or excess over cost in doing that. That's what we're really talking about. Okay? So, I just think that's perfect. And one of the things that I loved in Hanoi was the fact that, there may be 10 or 15 of these guys on the street, or there might be 10 or 15 particular stores dealing with this particular space on the street. And it was like a perfect market because it meant that they were competing directly with their neighbors. So people knew that this was the bathroom fitting street or this was the silk street. And so there might be a number of different traders with their premises, their offerings, doing business. Okay, so what is business? So you've given me a couple of things there, right? It's buying and selling. Okay. It is doing a task to make a profit. Okay. Making profits from selling products. Okay, all of those things, right? Let me ask the question in a slightly different way. What does the barber think? What does the guy who's cutting hair? What's he thinking about? Okay, what's he thinking about when he's doing this? And then what does his customer think? Well, if I paraphrase and if I put myself in his position for a minute, the barber might be thinking about, I can cut hair. I have the equipment and people need their hair cut. Okay? Now, the alternative to somebody having their hair cut is them cutting it themselves. But most people might find difficulty doing that. Not everybody. Some people can do it. But this barber might think, here's something I can do. I have scissors. I have a chair. I have a mirror. I have whatever. I can, and there are people who need their hair cut. So the customer might think, I need a haircut. I can't do it myself. I need to get someone to do it for me. Okay? So that's the basic situation. So what we're really talking about is that there's an offering over here and a need here, and it's putting them together. And that's really what business is. It's creating that link, that relationship. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so it's creating that relationship. It's creating that transaction. Okay, and that's, I think, what we've been getting to. It's that idea that we're doing something for a profit. But when we think about business, we have to think about the customer. We have to think about the solution. And then when we think about digital businesses, how do we enable an improved version of that? That's really what we're trying to get towards. Because this is the fundamental thing. This is it. This is everything. It's sales minus cost equals profit. That's all we need to worry about initially. How do we get a sale? How do we provide that service or that product? How much does it cost us? And can we make sure that the sales price is less than the cost price? Because that gives us a profit. If the sales is more than the cost price, if the sales is less than the cost price, we have a loss. And that's a problem because we're really paying somebody to do service or to do work for them. So this is the fundamental for business. Sales minus cost equals profit. So that means that our challenge becomes, well, how do we get sales? How do I keep costs down? If I can get sales, keep costs down, I'm going to have profit. And this is where digital comes into being, because digital actually helps us in terms of, I think, was it Jocelyn, you said it, that promotion. It's how do we drive sales? How do we get people to buy our products or our services? Equally, like in the hairdressing salon we saw, or in the coffee shop, how do we use technology and people to try to minimize our costs? So we drive our sales, we minimize our costs, and we have a profit. That's the fundamental equation. And everything in business, from the biggest businesses to the smallest operations, it comes down to that simple equation. Sales minus cost equals profit. Now, we can talk about a whole range of ideas around that, but that's what it is at the center. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is take a couple of minutes and think about this and then describe the steps in a business transaction. So let's say you want something, okay? It might be a new jacket, it might be a book, it might be a trip to the cinema, it might be a new bicycle, a new car. What are the steps in that business transaction? Okay? So what do we think the steps are? So raise your hand or send me a text. Anybody? Zach, what do you think the first stage in a business transaction is, or the first element? And they don't have to be necessarily sequential. But give me an example. Okay. Okay, Timothy, you've got buying the service, right? So let me buying. Okay, what happens before that? What happens before you buy a service or goods? Okay, Han, know our need. All right, good. We need to know what we want, don't we? What else? Okay, good. Know the price. So it might be, let me see, can I move that? Know the price. Okay, anybody else? Check the quality, yes. So know the price, know how much it costs. Yes, thanks, Justin. Same, know the price. How much it costs. Okay. The quality, check. Okay, very good, very good. Anybody here ever bought anything where the quality wasn't right and you had to go back? What sort of feeling does that generate within you as a customer? Are any other steps in the business transaction? Let me go a little bit deeper, right? So if we start with knowing our needs, so recognizing a need, let's call it that. Let's call it recognizing a need. So knowing I need a haircut, and you might think that I do, right? So I know I need a haircut, right? So what are the things that might affect my decision then? So yeah, knowing the price, knowing how much it costs. Where would I get that information? Where would I get that information? Okay, good. Online or ask the seller. Yeah. So I might see it on a board. I might, say to a hairdresser, how much is it for a wash cut and a blow dry, or to have my hair tinted or whatever. Okay, I might find that information online. And in fact, let's be honest, in a lot of cases now, our first reaction is, I'm going to look it up. I kind of know what I want. I'm going to see who has it, where is it, how much does it cost. I get to start to have that information, don't I? Then they start to make a decision around, well, okay, do I want this person who's going to butcher my hair, or do I want somebody who knows what they're doing? So I want to check the quality. Then maybe I need to make a booking. Maybe I need to sort of say, okay, look, I'm going to get my hair done at 5 o'clock. So maybe it's make an appointment, right? Or it might be simply to join the queue. Interestingly, if you saw some barbers on the street, like the Hanoi barber, let's say there's 3 of them. There's one on the left who's just cutting some hair, nobody else standing around them. There's one on the right who's standing idle waiting for somebody. And there's one in the middle who's cutting hair and he's got 3 people waiting. What would that tell you? And what would your decision be? So you might think then that when there's one there with 3 people waiting, that's the one who's most in demand, that either he's got the best price or he's got the best service or people like what he's doing or he's got the best customer relationships or whatever, the best engagement. The guy who's waiting for somebody has nobody in his chair, and yet there's a queue with the guy in the middle. You've got to think to yourself, okay, well, maybe he's not very good. Maybe I don't want him to be cutting my hair. So you get to start to make decisions based on the information that you find. So the steps in a business transaction, we can define it very specifically, but you've identified some of the key things. We have to recognize a need. We have to know the price and how much it's going to cost and how much we're willing to spend. Okay? We have to be happy with that what we're buying is going to solve our problem, our need, that the quality is right. And then we may actually buy the good or the service, make a transaction. But we're going to find some of that information out online, or the process is going to be enabled, but we make a booking online, or in some cases, we simply buy the product online and it's delivered to us. So the core message I want to get across here is that business exists first and foremost as this need negotiation solution, if you like. And when we add digital to the mix, we're then adding a new mechanism or a new element into that core idea. The core idea is that business exists anyway, whether it's digital or not. We're just using digital in a way to drive improvements in that process by making more people aware of our products or services, by building customer engagement so that people like us more, they want our products or services, by sharing our information better so that people know we're available with our products or our services, they know our prices, they know when we can deliver, by sharing references and reputation so that people get a good feel for the quality of what we're doing, by enabling the transaction by having something like a Stripe or a payment mechanism on our website or in our app, by having a mechanism where somebody can book online or with an app for an appointment to do this, or order a coffee for 10 minutes time, or order a pizza or some takeout food or something. So there's a whole number of ways that digital can help improve what is the fundamental process. So we talk about business and then we talk about digital. All right. And that's what's at the center of what we're talking about. So from Wikipedia, by the way, do you all know Wikipedia? I presume you do. If you don't know, Wikipedia is great. It's a free online dictionary. Okay, wikipedia.com. So you can get lots of information. Now, you can't 100% rely on the information because it's free. It's actually curated by and written by everybody. So some people can put up stuff that's not actually true by mistake. So you take it with a pinch of salt. But from Wikipedia, what is business? Business is the activity of making one's living or money, making money by producing or selling products and services such as goods and services. Okay, that's what business is. Any activity or enterprise entered into for profit. Okay? Now, it does not mean necessarily a company or a big multinational or a utility or a partnership or a sole trader or a guy in the street with a mirror and a chair. It can range from through everything. It's that idea that it's an activity or enterprise entered into for profit. And everything else then is how do we do it better? That's it. Okay? That's what business is. From the businessdictionary.com, so that's another website. So when you download the slides, that will give you a link to the actual business dictionary page. It's an organization or economic system where goods and services are exchanged. Okay, that sounds much bigger. Every business requires some form of investment and customers so that its output can be sold on a consistent basis. So this is a more comprehensive definition. Businesses can be private owned, not-for-profit, or state-owned, etc. So we use the term business on a number of different levels. But from our purposes, fundamentally, we're talking about solving a need for a profit. Okay? So in many ways, what we need to think about is our business is a function of a couple of things, right? One, identifying a need. Two, providing or enabling a solution. Three, charging or selling that solution. And four, for more than it costs. And that's where our profit, right? Identifying a need. There's a need over there. I can put a solution to that. I can charge or sell that solution at such a level that I make a profit. That's what we're talking about. And when I was in college, I suppose if we extend that idea and we talk about entrepreneur, an entrepreneur is someone who buys for a certain price to sell at an uncertain price. Now, why am I making that point? This course is digital entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs are people who try to solve problems. It's not all about becoming the richest person in the world. An entrepreneur is someone who's trying to solve a problem by creating a market and selling products in that market, by buying or creating the solution because they know what it's going to cost, but they're trying to do it in such a way where they don't actually know what they'll be able to sell it at yet. So they're dealing with that risk element. Whereas on the other hand with business, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a system whereby, yeah, we can be entrepreneurial by identifying a problem and creating a solution, but we're keeping our business focus here so that we make sure that ultimately we're going to make a profit. Because there used to be a saying that one of the fastest ways to become a millionaire was to start with $1 billion and buy an airline, because airlines notoriously lose money. So we don't want to be loss-making. We want, in the long term, to be profit-making. So we need to be entrepreneurial to identify solutions or identify opportunities, but then we need a business head to make it work. Okay? Does that make sense? Are you okay with that idea? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, we'll move on. I'm not going to, because of the difficulties we had at the start of the session, I'm not going to show you the video for this yet. We'll do it in the next session. But is everybody familiar with McDonald's? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So we're not going to say it's high quality food, okay, necessarily. But it is, I suppose one of the key words would be ubiquitous. It's you know, I don't go to buy lunch, I go to buy a McDonald's, right? So it's almost like it's become a noun. We all know what McDonald's is. It's a standard product, burger and chips and a milkshake or a Coke or whatever, okay? And it's cheap and cheerful. It may not be the most nutritious food, and McDonald's might argue that, but it might not be the most nutritious food. In fact, there's a burger in Iceland, I think, that's 6 or 7 years old now that's barely degraded, so we won't even talk about that. We're not talking high cuisine here. But McDonald's is a really interesting business because we can look at McDonald's and we can see from the start of McDonald's how business has developed. And we will look at that with a couple of videos. But even now, and I don't know if it's happening where you are, but here in McDonald's, they've introduced this, they're getting much more digital. So you go into McDonald's now and you order from a big screen, okay? So again, everything we're talking about here is about what's business and how do we digitize, how do we make digital work for that business. So even food businesses now are using digital ideas to try and grow and develop their businesses. And remember back, that one of the fundamental things is sales minus cost is equal to profit. So we can use digital to boost sales, to reduce costs, either way, to grow profits. That's where our focus is. Okay, so I'll show you the video in the next session. I'm going to save that, right? So this course, so all of this has been a lead into what is the course and what are we going to be doing over the next 12 weeks. So the Digital Entrepreneurship Program on screen there, it's designed to help you develop your understanding and knowledge of digital entrepreneurship. And so from my point of view, that means we need to deal with business first, entrepreneurship, and then digital, okay? And so the course is divided into 3 units. This first thing is around digital entrepreneurship. That's what we're talking about today and tomorrow and for this current 4 weeks. And we want you to understand what digital entrepreneurship is. Then we're really going to look at digital marketing. And some of you mentioned social media earlier on. We're going to talk about trying to build your skill set around social media marketing. Now, you're here. You're participating in this virtual class. So you're digitally aware already, okay? And some of you, a lot of you have Facebook pages as we polled, right? So you're already more active on social media probably than I am. But how does social media work from a business point of view, from a marketing point of view? So we're going to deal with that. And then we're going to talk about e-commerce. How do we enable you to demonstrate your understanding of e-commerce and to build and grow a business? So how many of you, and raise your hands, using the icon on the top bar, or send me a text, how many of you want to have your own business? Let me poll the class. Let me do a quick poll, okay? So a new poll. How many want to have their own business? Okay, so let me know what you think. How many of you want to have your own business? Okay. All right. 25%. That is? Okay. Anybody else want to? So that's 2 of you. One of you does, one of you doesn't. Oh, that's my check. 25%. Anybody else want to join the poll? Okay. I'll leave it there for you. Jeremy, you raise your hand. Timothy, you raise your hand. Zach, raise your hand. So, okay. Let me cross that. So, you guys generally, yeah, you want. I'm reading from that you want to own your own business. That's good. Okay. Because that's really what this course is about. It's trying to build your entrepreneurial base. Now, the good news for you is that, particularly in Southeast Asia in general, is that entrepreneurship is booming, okay? And there's lots of opportunities. And digital is creating more and more opportunities all the time, okay? So all of that is really important. Sorry, Zach. Sorry, Zach, you asked me a question. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I will come back to that. Zach, I'll do that before the end of class. So I think right now there are any number of opportunities to develop and grow businesses. The challenge in one sense is that everything is moving so fast. So if you're setting up a business now, you've got to set up a business. You've got to get into it fast, develop it fast, because everything's moving so fast that actually the need you're looking to solve, the pain you're looking to relieve, you're only going to have, there's only a certain window within which you can monetize or profit from that before something else is going to come along. So the cycles are getting faster. So there's lots of opportunity, but cycles are getting faster. So it's not that you need to establish one business, it's that you need to build the capability to establish sequential businesses, to keep reinventing. Okay, and that's what the course is about. There's the course agenda. I'm not going to get into that too much. There's a bigger version there. You'll see it. There it is. Okay, so this is session 1. What is digital entrepreneurship? So we also made some teething problems technically to start this. We will pick up on some of that on Friday, and then we're going to get into social media and digital existence and so on, Facebooking, WhatsApping, etc. So we're going to do all of these things down over the next 24 classes, which is over 12 weeks. Okay. The course will feature some presentations where I'm going to throw a couple of slides up and some notes maybe to go with that. We're going to go through some case studies, real world cases. I've showed you a couple of videos already. We're going to talk about some other businesses that have encountered problems. Not all of the businesses are going to succeed. So we look at some failures, we look at some issues, and we look at some successes. Okay? You are expected to participate in the class and part of the Q&As and so on. And so the more engagement we can get, the better. I appreciate there's some teething problems. We will work those out. There'll be some live exercises where I get you to do some work during the class. So either through polls or get you to go and do something and bring it back to the class. And within that, certainly as we go forward over the coming weeks and we're looking at the assignments and exercises, when I get you to do some of those live exercises one-on-one time with you individually where you have particular problems. Is that okay? Are you happy with that? Stick your hand up if you're happy. Okay? Because that's the way we're going to try and run the course. All right? So my aim for this course, thank you. My aim for this course is that, I want this to be challenging. This is not this course should not be a jolly. This is a course where you need to think and you need to do, and hopefully you need to generate some capabilities that's going to help you in terms of developing some businesses. So the thing that's different about entrepreneurship and business compared to architecture or science or medicine to a certain extent is that there are less yes and no answers. There's more gray areas. Whereas in some of these other subjects, they're more defined because they're bound in rules of science or technology or whatever. So, with business and entrepreneurship, we will find ourselves going down cul-de-sacs, going down the wrong avenue as individuals in your businesses and your projects and times. But that's good because that enables you to learn from your mistakes. And that's one of the fundamental things about entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs aren't afraid to fall, get back up, get started, go forward again. And that's crucial in this process. And I know, but for my own sake, I've been involved with a number of startup failures as well as some that have worked really well too. And that's just part of the nature of the thing. Okay, so let's talk about what your assignment is. So I'll be talking with Anthony and the team, and we'll be preparing a brief for you, which we'll get into next week. But the assignment will be, this program will be assessed by your submission and preparation submission of a digital business proposal. Okay? So with this, you need to identify a market opportunity, describe the solution, and potentially build some sort of prototype or draft digital elements, whether it's a website or a digital campaign or a mock-up an app. In other words, with this proposal, you're going to progress some sort of a business idea, okay? And with that, you should be able to present that idea, whether it's just in a presentation, a slide deck. If we have time, we might try and do some actual class presentations, really based around what's called a 30-second elevator pitch. Does anybody know what an elevator pitch is? Anybody want to tell me what an elevator pitch is? No? Okay. I'm going to tell you what an elevator pitch is. the idea behind an elevator pitch. Thank you, Timothy. The idea behind an elevator pitch is that. Oh, Zach, if you. Zach, did you? Okay, raise your hand. Okay, Zach, I'm going to come back to you in a second. The idea behind an elevator pitch is that you get this amount of time to get an investor on board. So with business, your first sales may well be to get some investment into your business. Okay, and that investment could be in the form of money, it could be in the form of assistance, it could be even an early sale. Okay, but you only get so much time. So the idea behind the 30-second elevator pitch is if you got onto an elevator, a lift, with a potential investor or supporter, you have their attention maybe for the elevator ride. So maybe you have 30 seconds in which to get your idea across and get them interested. Because as soon as they get off the elevator, if they're not interested, they're gone. So with your business idea, we want you to identify a market opportunity. And it might be a tiny micro market opportunity. It might be a bit bigger. We want you to describe what you think is the solution to that market opportunity, to that need or the pain that you've identified, and to start the development on the answer. And then we want you to be able to convince somebody in 30 seconds that they should listen to you as to why you think this business works. That's what an elevator pitch is. So it's how do you get your idea across in 30 seconds? Okay? Not easy, but it's definitely a worthwhile exercise. Okay, so the core structure then is there are 3 units: digital entrepreneurship, digital marketing, e-commerce. And this is what we're hoping you're going to learn as a result of this, to enable you to demonstrate an understanding of digital entrepreneurship. So you need to know what we're about. You also need to apply some skills in the social media space and social media marketing. Oops, sorry, let me get out of that. And then unit 3, to enable candidates to demonstrate an understanding of what the e-commerce space looks like. And that's where I'm going to set up some homework for the next class. So one of the features of this course is that you've got to do some homework, okay? And I'm going to want you to come in with some information on the report that I've uploaded. I'll show you that in a minute. So unit 1, digital entrepreneurship. So we want you to understand the fundamentals of it, but these are the core, oops, how do I get rid of that? Oh dear, I had this problem before, sorry. Oops. Hold on a second. Oh, it's still there. Yes, there are times when I want to shoot the machine. This is really important here. And how do I get rid of that? Okay, folks, I've blocked out this line. Okay. I'm not going to waste any time in this. You'll have the slides anyway. You'll see these are the learning objectives behind Unit 1. Yes, so there, behind Unit 1. So we'll talk about those the next day. What we really need to then figure out is what is digital. We talked about entrepreneurship, we talked about business. What is digital? So if we're going to talk about digital, if we're going to understand digital entrepreneurship, we need to be clear what digital is. Digital businesses use technology to create new value in business models. Okay? So I think that we're talking about technology, first of all, and we're looking for a new value. All right? In business models, customers' experiences, and the internal capability to support its core operations. So think back to the coffee shop. So we talked about more time with customers. We talked about building customer relationships. Okay. Talked about reducing cost. Right. So all of these elements were part of the using technology to create new value. Okay. And it applies to both digital and traditional businesses. So it's not just a website. It's much more than that. Okay, but that's what we're talking about. The reason this is important is that we want you to look at the growth of the digital economy. So I'm going to skip past this because I want to show you a couple of charts. And coming on, yeah, we'll come back to that in the next class. These are unicorns. Okay, what I refer to as unicorns. These are technology-based or digital businesses that have really grown and become massive organizations. They're not web businesses, they're digitally enabled. Okay, they're called unicorns because they've become massive, absolutely huge. And for every unicorn, and I don't know why they call them unicorns, maybe it's because unicorns don't exist, or not that many. My Little Pony, maybe. For every unicorn, there are hundreds and thousands of startups that fail, that don't make it. There are startups that get to a certain stage. There are startups that fail. There are startups that make good money. Then there's every now and then there's a unicorn where people who've invested early, actually their business becomes a global business. And if you look at this, you'll see some of these, and you'll recognize some of these. So if I look into internet services, you may be aware of Slack. Slack's an interesting piece, and we'll look at that later on in the course. If you look at social, we'll look at social. Pinterest, Reddit, Facebook must be there somewhere too, should be in there. If you look at travel, well, Traveloka, TripAdvisor is another one. If you look at healthcare, adaptive healthcare is becoming a big organization. If you look at SpaceX, WeWork, okay? These are all large, growing, successful international businesses, okay? Airbnb is down here. These are all businesses that have become unicorns. They become very successful, which means they have lots of investment, which means that the companies are worth a lot of money. But what's really interesting, if you look at something like Airbnb, Airbnb is the largest global provider of accommodation. If you think about hotel chains, you think about Marriott, Sheraton, any of the hotel chains, Airbnb is much, much bigger as a provider of accommodation globally. And yet it doesn't own any real estate. It doesn't own any real estate. Uber is the biggest taxi company on the planet, and yet it doesn't own any taxis. Facebook is the biggest news source, the biggest content source on the planet, and it doesn't own any newspapers. It doesn't own any printing presses. So what these businesses are, what these unicorns are, is they're changing the way we do things. And the reason that this is important is that we need to look at where the start of where all the activity is happening. Well, you're based in the Southeast Asian region, most of you, where you get more and more startups. So there's lots of startup activity. In Ireland, we've got a really good startup base as well. So there are certain parts of the planet where there's lots of activity happening. We used to refer to Silicon Valley in California as being the hub for high tech. But of course, that's all shifting now. So there's much more going on in Asia. There's stuff going on in Europe, in particular. In Dublin, we have Silicon Dots. So, there are something like 5,000 people working for Google in Dublin. There's another 5,000 working for Facebook. There's a whole number of other financial tech, high-tech startups in that space. So the tech startup world is absolutely flying at the moment. And there's some of the elements or some of the companies or organizations that are starting in Asia where a lot of you guys are based, okay? All of that's fine and well, but if you look further, let's look at where the market is. Let's look at the value. So the global e-commerce market is expected to reach $2.7 trillion. Now that's a lot of money, okay? It may not be a lot of money to you, it's a lot of money to me, right? But if you look at this from 2018 projected to 2023, look at this total, 1.8 to $2.8 trillion. So, a trillion is 1,000 billion. A billion is 1,000 million. So this gives you an idea of the revenue capability as more and more businesses are started up, small businesses, as they grow, as they change traditional businesses. And then look at some of them. So look at fashion, 500 million in 2018. Sorry, billion, 500 billion, up to 872 billion in another 4 years' time. Okay, that section is growing. Electronics and media. Well, you'd expect technology to have an impact there. 405 million up to 563 billion. Okay. Toys, hobby, DIY, furniture, food and personal care. Now, that's an interesting space. 213 billion up to 340 billion. Okay. So that's about a 60% increase in that segment alone. So what this chart shows is that this is the projections for what the e-commerce value will be in the future. Now, of course, we're only talking about starting up businesses that take tiny chunks of that, but all together, this is what's happening. These are the economic pieces that are growing. There are other parts of the economies around the world where that's not happening. So food prices are stable or falling. Other pricing elements are stable. So, mobile telephony, broadband costs, all of these things are pretty much stagnant at this stage. The devices may be changing, but the core bedrock, charging and everything else, those, there's an aggregation in markets there. So these are the growth areas that we need to look at. And that's obviously, if you're an entrepreneur, that's where you should be focusing. So for your homework, what I want you to do is I want you to look at this 300-page report. I want you to focus in on pages 129 to 169. So here's the report uploaded here, okay? 230 pages. So 129. So here's page 129. So what I want you to do is to just scan through this information. So this statistical report is produced by a company that actually gathers information and sells on these reports. This report I got for free by signing up. Ticket.com website, you'll see other free information. Sometimes you can find some interesting pieces there. But this section of the report will tell you some interesting things. Chinese customers are more confident about their technologies. There's more about e-commerce. That's the slide I just shown you. Breakdown in clothing and consumer electronics, etc. So there's lots of interesting data points in here. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to go through that section of the report. It's about 30 or 40 pages, about 40 pages of that report. You don't have to read it. It's not text there's a bit of text, but the vast majority of it is slides and charts. I want you to scan through that. I want you to identify 3 surprises, things that you are blown away by. And then I want you to be able to pick one of those surprises and explain why it's important in the class on Friday. So you need a little bit of time, maybe half an hour to an hour, to look at those, to think about what you really find surprising. Now remember, most of you here want to start a business. Okay, you want to develop business ideas. So look at the bigger picture. See what's surprising to you and come back and report on it. Is that okay? Are you happy with that? Stick your hand up if you're happy. Sure. Okay. So what I'd like you to do in your reports is, so if you explain it, so you can write a short paragraph, identify 3 points and write a short paragraph, and then present that either in the class. Either you can send it to me and I'll put them up on screen and we'll talk about them, and we'll see what comes out of it, right? So that's your homework for the next day, okay? The next couple of slides I'm not going to go through because I'm going to save those for the next day. I want to talk about traditional businesses. We'll come back on that. And I also will go back and we'll revisit these couple of slides here about what is digital, what's happening in the digital economy, and what some of the common details are. But the most important thing to get out of today is that, while we're talking about digital entrepreneurship, at the baseline, this is a business course. This is about business, and business is about making some sales, controlling costs, and producing a profit. We need to bear that in mind while we figure out how to use digital to enable our businesses to develop new businesses. But at the heart, we're talking about business. Entrepreneurship then is about recognizing new ideas and coming up with solutions. And then digital is our way for how we actually build a business using digital tools to help solve those problems and to grow the business. So that's the course for today. So I'm going to give you one last poll for today. So let me go here. Let me share those results. Small list. Let me publish this poll. All right. So let me know if you learned something useful in the class. And don't be afraid to say no. Yes or no. Very important. One of the key things about digital entrepreneurship and business is we're going to learn from our mistakes. So you will always be taking 2 or 3 steps forward and 1 or 2 steps backwards. That's the nature of the thing. So hopefully you've got something out of this session, and we will pick it up then at the same time on Friday. In the meantime, I'll have a chat with Anthony and the team, and we'll try and figure out how to get this thing to work a little bit better. Ideally, I want to be able to bring you in so you can talk in the class, as well as using the text and the polling and so on. Is that okay? All right, folks. If you have any questions before we, sorry, Zach, you asked me. I think it was about Stripe. So I'm going to put here. I referred to Stripe at the start. Stripe is the business name, and Stripe. So actually, I think you should be able to look at Stripe.com. And it was started by a couple of brothers called the Collison brothers, who, if you Google them, I think it's Collison, you'll find they probably won a competition called the, what's it called? It might have been the Young Scientist of the Year. Okay? But out of that, they built a multi-billion-dollar business, and they're still in their 20s, mid-20s. So they were 16 and 17, I think, when they did this. Okay, if you have no questions, we'll call it a day for today, and I will see you on Friday. If you have the text, you can send questions through on the WhatsApp as well. And otherwise, I will see you on Friday. Okay, thank you very much. Just Shane, Mr. Shane. You don't have to call me Mr. Shane, is fine. Thank you, Timothy. All right, folks. Talk to you later. You're welcome. Okay. Okay, the recording should be available to you in the class. It might take a little while to be uploaded to the site, but when I finish this now, it'll be saved and you should have access again. All right, folks, talk to you.